My name is Jonas, and in the next 45 to 60 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the essentials of roastery management with Cropster Roast. Before we start, I want to point out that we are still rather new to webinars, so if it feels bumpy at some point, please excuse, and I still hope you have a great experience with this webinar. During the webinar, you will be on listen-only mode, so that means you're very welcome to drop us questions. Please type them in the question window. I'm going to answer them straight away after the webinar is finished or in a follow-up email. Also, in case you experience any technical issues, please let us know through the question window. So as said in the beginning, this webinar is about the essentials of roastery management with Cropster, and therefore is designed to people who are new to using Cropster or who are interested in using Cropster. But as much has changed during the past months with lots of new releases, new stuff added to Cropster Roast, there might be something in there for all of you, also for experienced Cropster users. So please hang on. I will start with a short introduction of Cropster, who we are and what we do. I will then get more concrete on Cropster Roast as a software solution, what features it provides and how you can benefit from these in your daily routine in a roastery. We will touch green coffee and inventory management, profile management and production, integrated quality control, and I want to give you a little insight on what we are working on at Cropster currently and what will be added to the product in the near future. To conclude, I will give you an understanding of the Cropster environment, how you can get started and get your hands on Cropster yourself. I will finish the webinar with a Q&A session, so whenever you have a question during the webinar, please submit them through the question window. The overall structure of the webinar will be that I guide you through the different topics. First, I give you a general overview, but then we will jump in to the Cropster platform, and I will give you a live demonstration of those topics and features in action. So who is Cropster? We are a software company specialized in solutions for the coffee industry with more than 15 years of coffee experience within the company. We have developed the specialty coffee's #1 software solution. Our customers are spread around the globe, and currently Cropster is used in about 85 countries. What less of you might know is that we are headquartered in Innsbruck, Austria, with 2 more offices, one in Sacramento, California, and one in Hong Kong. So roastery management is quite complex, with lots of actors and factors involved in the overall process, influencing the final product. For example, with the roasting process, lots of factors play into the roasting process, be it the roast machine, the roast technician, environmental factors, but also then, of course, all the different measurements like temperatures, gas settings, pressures, and so on. Then when we look at cuppings, there are multiple cupping sheets out there. So when you set up a cupping, you have to prepare the cupping. You have to find a sheet that you want to score on. You want to transfer after the cupping results into, for example, an Excel sheet or whatever, and so on. And then looking down the supply chain, there comes green coffee with all its information. There comes bookkeeping of your green inventory, of your production. So many things play a role in your daily routine, and no one knows that better than you, how complex roastery management is. So I won't go more into detail on that, but what we believe at Cropster is that great coffee is the result of informed decisions. So over the years, Cropster has came up with a software solution to make information about what is going on in your roastery available, easily accessible for you, and to finally reduce the complexity of roastery management. The software is thereby not designed to take any decision from you, but to support you in your daily routine and to give you a tool at hand so you can answer complex questions. Saying that, most of you might know Cropster as a roast profiler, but I want to emphasize that it's much more than that, more than just a profiling software. So, in fact, Cropster Roast provides a complete picture of what we think is crucial for the success of a roastery. It gives knowledge and control, starting with the green coffee and inventory, to the roasting and production management, until the quality of the final cup. And by complete picture, I mean it provides not only information about each of these topics separately, but all of them are connected into one platform and one bigger picture, allowing you then to trace back a single cupping result to the individual roast curve and eventually back to the green lot used. Ultimately, this helps you understanding how quality is produced, improved, and consistently reproduced. Also, Cropster makes information available to efficiently organize your roastery. All the information is already in the system. Everything is stored on one platform. So on the platform, there are various tools available to draw conclusions from this data or request reports, which makes your life then easier when managing the roastery. This should give you in the end the peace of mind to not only know roughly what is going on in your roastery, but actually to be more sure about it. Also, at this point, I want to point out that Cropster is a solution for roasteries of all sizes. So these processes might look very different depending on the size of your business, but Cropster can be adapted and customized to the level of your business, your processes, and needs. So let's take a closer look at green coffee and inventory management. All your green coffee information is stored within your Cropster account in the Cropster platform. That includes general information like registration date, tracking numbers, processing information, origin and other traceability information, the amount of green coffee, of course, but also quality information. So all this information is available in a customizable overview of your inventory, but also in a detailed page of each and every green lot. From that, you can request a report of your current inventory by lot, but also by location. And again here, Cropster is adapting to your needs. So I'm well aware that not every one of you has to manage multiple locations. Well, then in that case, a basic green inventory might be just sufficient for you to keep the overview. So this is not a one-fits-all solution, but can be adjusted. And in this webinar, I want to give you the best possible overview of what is possible to manage within Cropster. Well, you can, as said, also manage and distribute your inventory across multiple locations. So you're always up to date on what and how much of your inventory is located where. With every completed roast, your green inventory gets automatically updated and adjusted so that your inventory level is accurate at all times. You can see this movement of inventory in the transaction history of each lot in the down left corner. And based on that consumption, it automatically calculates an estimated run-out date of this lot so that you can base your purchase planning on it. Additionally, it is possible to define a minimum inventory level and for each lot, and with that, it will prompt an alert to you should your green lot reach this minimum. As said, Cropster can be adapted to the needs of your business, so that might be relevant to more bigger roasteries when handling larger amount of samples. But Cropster also offers a complete sample management feature for inbound samples. It allows you to track samples with all its traceability and quality information of different types. So for example, arrival sample, pre-shipment, and so on. So all the sample types that are involved in the coffee buying process. But as this webinar is more about the essentials of roastery management, I will not get into detail on sample management. So if you're interested to learn about that feature, please reach out to us. So far for green coffee and inventory management. Let's jump in to the Cropster platform, or how we call it, Caesar. That is your private and secure Cropster account. What you see here is the dashboard of your Cropster account. That gives you a customized overview of what is of interest for you. So this might be depending on your role in the roastery, of course. And at this point, I also want to mention that you can invite multiple users to an account and then restrict permissions accordingly or depending on what information they are required to see and edit, depending on the role, for example. So this can be customized here, what you want to see on your dashboard. Let's go into the green inventory. First, you get, give it a second to load. Well, what you see here is the overview of your green inventory. So it provides basic information of each lot you have in the inventory. Again, this can be customized here on the Customize button so that you can adjust what information you want to see at this stage about your inventory. Now we want to add a new lot to the inventory. So we go to Add Inventory. Now we can add every green lot one by one to the inventory and have different options of fields and information we want to enter here. I've done a basic selection of information I want to capture now, but can edit this at any later stage. In my case, actually, I don't want to do it one by one, but I want to add multiple green lots to my inventory in bulk. So I move to the many option or bulk import. Again, you can customize the columns of what information you want to capture. I'm going to add one to our inventory. Registration date is today, of course. Actually, I want to add 3 bags to my inventory and have a minimum inventory level of, let's say, 30 kilograms. I'm gonna assign this to my warehouse. So washed coffee, Katura. So I can edit all this information in detail. It's already from this year. It's from Nicaragua. Moisture level is about 11%. And I can also edit the water activity. So, and there's much more possibility to store information. I can add multiple lots here. I can copy and paste them, for example, from an Excel sheet. At this stage, I only want to add now this one lot. So import it into my inventory. And it's added here to the list of green lots. I assigned everything to my warehouse, but actually I want to move part of it, or let's say 1 bag, to my roastery. So I see it's all in the warehouse, and now I add 1 bag to my roastery. Okay, so this green lot is newly added, so there's not that much information stored. Let's have a look at the detailed overview of another lot. I simply search and filter for that. Let's have a look at this Colombia lot. What I see here is the total inventory across 2 locations. I see that I have a minimum inventory level set at 6,000 kilograms. And actually my current inventory is below that minimum level. So it's already marked in yellow and will actually drop me a message saying, hey, this Colombia lot is running low or is reaching its minimum. So there might be action required from you. Yeah, based on my consumption, there's a projected runout date. So if I continue production on the 19th of April, actually, this will run low. And in the transaction history, I can see that in a visualization. What I see here is that the green inventory gets updated with each and every roast. So it's always up to date. And yeah, I haven't used it for a couple of days now. So that's the projection of the runout date here. And also in this overview, you get like detailed information about this green lot, about traceability, quality information. So all on one page. Let's move back to the green inventory. And now I want to get a total overview on my inventory. So I want to see the inventory report. And well, what I see here is how much inventory do I have at each location. And it also allows me to see how much inventory do I have of each and every green lot. All right. So next, and core and center in every roastery, of course, is, and also within Cropster Roast, is the production. So for each of your different recipes, be it a single origin or a blend recipe, you can create a profile. This profile is very crucial as it allows you to track back the single roasts and it connects your green inventory to the actual roasts. The profile section allows you then to create sort of a lexicon of all your different recipes. Each and every roast is automatically tracked, synchronized, and stored in your Cropster account. This allows you then to compare different roasts with each other, overlay the roast curves in combination with roast parameters, comments, and quality information. You can see that here in the roast compare. From there, it's then possible to choose a reference for each of the roast profiles. And this reference curve serves as a kind of guideline for a consistent reproduction of this roast, as you are trying to kind of mirror the roast curve during production. And we will see this all in action in a minute. Then newly released to all Cropster accounts was the Roast Designer a couple of weeks ago. This tool is allowing you to draw roast curves from scratch, but also allows you to adjust existing roast curves or edit roasts later on. Especially interesting is this feature probably to roast consultants, but also to all other users who want to create baseline roast profiles, roast curves, or adapt existing roast curves. Roast goals, we see in the lower left corner, is an advanced feature acting like a control layer for consistent reproduction of your roast profiles. With that tool, you can put like a frame with upper and lower boundaries around certain roast parameters in order to control for their consistency. Of course, this goes hand in hand with cuppings and quality assessment to see where those boundaries are to stay then within your quality standards. The roast goals will also lead to an alert so that you are informed about every roast that does not meet your set requirements. Once you then have the reference curve established, you want to move to production and reproduce that profile. Production can be planned ahead in Cropster, either for the day or for the whole week. And it can be planned for each profile based on your output target. If you have multiple roast machines and roast technicians, you can assign the schedule to them in particular. So the production schedule is available then in real time and right at the machine, integrated into the Cropster roasting intelligence. We will also see that in action. And then finally, after production comes the production report. It reflects basically every roast you did for production and allows you to dive into detail and analyze your production based on any particular roast profile, the output per machine, the output within a certain time frame, the amount of any specific green lot used for production, and it allows you to even break it down to the roast technician and so on. It can also support your purchase planning, as you will see growth and decline in output for both your roast profile and the green inventory used. Let's move back into Caesar and see this in action. So I go back actually to the green inventory now, because what I want to do is create a roast profile for that green lot. You can see it here. So I go to create profile. I'm going to create a single origin, and I'm going to call it the Nicaragua demo profile. I have not done a roast with that profile yet, so there's no reference roast, but actually I expect the weight loss of 11%. And this weight loss will be learned by the system over time. So after about 10 roasts, you're entering your start and end weight, and the system will learn what is the expected weight loss. So you don't have to enter that information with every roast. You can, of course. Ideal batch size, I will not limit that to any roast machine and so on. So I simply create a profile from here. And again, what you see here is that it directly connects to that green lot we created previously. And every roast is then locked under a profile. So let's move to roasts. So I haven't done any roast with the new profile yet, so I'm gonna search for one where I have already locked roasts under that profile. And also at that point, I want to mention, you might have seen it when creating the profile. You can also create blend profiles, pre-roast or post-roast blend profiles, and it will update your inventory accordingly then to the blend components. So I'm going to search for a certain profile where I know that we have locked roasts for. So what I want to do now is choose just the 4 latest roasts and go to the roast compare report. Here we go. It overlays the 4 roast curves. You can see the roast parameters down here. You can see quality information. And actually, at this point, I also want to add the reference roast to my selection. So this one is added to the roast compare. You can zoom in, take a closer look at the roast curves in more detail. You can also filter for comments here, like the first crack comment. And then, as just seen down here, you find quality information, you find all the roast statistics to then draw conclusions from. So this is actually not the nicest cup of coffee, but let's base our decision on the quality assessment, and let's go with the highest scoring here. This is my reference at the moment, and based on my analysis, I actually want to go with the red roast curve for whatever reason. Let's say it's based on my quality analysis. So I simply mark that roast curve with the yellow star. That means now this curve is my reference for that profile. If I now want to create a roast goal for that certain profile, I search for that profile here, and I want to make sure that the roast goal is in accordance to the reference. So it will move over time with the reference curve. It's based on the reference, and let's say I choose the time duration of that roast, and I always want that when this profile is roasted, the overall duration of that roast should stay within a certain time frame. I give it 20 seconds. So you will get an alert for all roasts that are without this lower or upper range. And obviously, this alert is depending on how narrow you set your window here. If I'm not satisfied at all with the roast curve, or I simply want to adjust it, I can do so. I'm going to copy one of those roast curves, copy that curve, and now here I am in the roast designer, allowing me to adjust the roast curve to whatever expectations I have here. Okay, so I could adjust my current roasts, update that, mark it as a copy, and then take this one as my reference for reproduction. So let's say we found that perfect roast curve that we want to reproduce. Let's schedule some roasts. I move here to the roast scheduling. I have more roast locations here to choose from. I want to schedule for my roastery. You see I have 3 machines allocated, assigned to this location. There are already some batches scheduled on my Gießen. I want to add some roasts to the lorring. So let's search for the Nicaragua demo profile we created before. It chooses the lorring. It knows the weight loss as I have predefined that. It automatically gives me the correct green lot that I have assigned to the profile. And I want this to be roasted by Damon. But I'm not exactly sure about the number of batches that I need. So I want to have it calculated by Cropster. What I need though is that I need, let's say, 53 kilograms of that Nicaragua coffee. Automatically, based on the weight loss, it calculates the green coffee needed with the batch size of the machine. It's gonna round up not exactly to 4 batches, so I want to make it 4 complete batches. So I round it up and add those 4 batches to the production schedule. I can still move around batches according to the roast schedule that I want to have in the end. And as soon as I hit publish, this will be actually sent to the roast machine, to the roasting intelligence. So let's move on the production floor into the roasting intelligence. And what we see here in the production sidebar is that this schedule is available in real time directly at the lowering machine. I see here the schedule of 4 remaining Nicaraguas. 2 Brazils were already roasted. So let's start one. Let's start the first Nicaragua. Choose it here from this schedule. It automatically fills in the correct information. Sure, I'm still able to adjust it. And what I see here is profile information about my reference roast curve that I've set for that profile. So let's start. It will automatically detect the start of your roast. So the tracking of the roast curve started. In the background, you see the reference curve as a guidance for reproduction. On the right here, you see upcoming events, actions, and comments, also based on your reference curve. So I see at 1 minute, there is an upcoming gas change to 85%. I can set comments by simply clicking anywhere on the screen, or I simply confirm comments here. Let's say the airflow setting is done, so I simply confirm it, and I can edit comments. I log a color change here. That will also trigger the modulation chart. Down here, next one is first crack. That will then trigger the development phase. So let's have a look at comments. So here are the already set comments, and I can delete or adjust them during the roast. Also in the background, I see here all the comments of my reference for me as a guidance. So next gas change is actually at minute 5:42. So that gives me some time to open the production sidebar again, move to my roasted batches, and now I use that time during the roast to edit. For example, I have weighted those batches and adjust the end weight a little bit, or edit the roast value here, and done. That will be synchronized with your Cropster account. So let's stop this roast and save it. And let's move back into the Cropster account and take a look at the production report. I'm going to choose a certain time period of interest. So let's say I want to see the production of July. Filter for that month. And what I see is, with one click actually, the total amount of roasted coffee in that month, the green inventory that I have used for production. I see actually most of my production was on the lowering, and Beatrice did most of the roasting. I can break it down and report by single profiles. So see production of the profiles. I see the tendency of consumption in comparison to the previous period. Same applies for each and every green lot. Also there, I see a tendency to the previous period and can visualize the total production over time down here. Again, I want to compare it to the previous period. So the production report not only shows you past production, but also assists you with your purchase planning ahead. And it's possible to export that report for your bookkeeping in an Excel sheet or PDF. So let's complete the picture of your processes by quality control. The last one, but certainly not least, as quality control should be an indispensable part of your routine. This topic is actually touching both, so the physical analysis of green coffee and the sensorial analysis of roasted coffee. In Cropster, you can prepare what is like a virtual cupping table. We call this a cupping session. Those sessions can be planned as non-blind, blind cuppings, or even double-blind cuppings. And cupping sessions can be based on various cupping sheets available in the system. So, for example, standardized sheets like the SAA form, the Cup of Excellence sheet, but also a large number of other formats or even customized cupping sheets. So a scheduled cupping session will then appear in Cropster Cup, and Cropster Cup is an app that allows you and everyone in the team to participate in a session on his mobile device and submit his cupping results. Those results will then be available for analysis in real time in a quality compare report that you see in the upper middle, here a draft of that. And so after a cupping session, there is no need to transfer a bunch of paper cupping sheets into an Excel sheet or whatever, but the report is ready for analysis right after the session, and as quality assessments are directly connected to the data in the account, these results can then be traced back to the individual roast curves and so on. So over time, you can build your own lexicon of descriptors, which you can customize and manage, but there's already a rich set of descriptors available based on the World Coffee Research set of descriptors, the flavor wheel, and what is common throughout the industry. So those descriptors are available in an autocomplete and drop-down menu in Cropster Cup, so that the speed of data entry is actually at level with writing, minus the difficulties to decipher your own handwriting afterwards. Yeah, really valuable, I think, becomes the full integration of quality information over time. So I assume that rarely any one of you has pulled out those folders with old cupping sheets from months ago, but within the Cropster platform, those quality assessments are available right away, easy to search for, and quality developments of lots of profiles are built automatically based on the connection of the quality assessment with roasts. As said in the beginning, it's also possible to track physical analysis of green coffee with the help of green grading sheets in the Cropster platform. Let's set up a virtual cupping session. I can do that either here in the quality section, sessions, and create a cupping session here. But I want to do that directly from the roasts that we already had a look at. So I'm going to select those 5 roasts again and create a cupping session from here. I want to do a blind cupping. I can schedule the session for later on. I'm going to call this the webinar cupping. This is our demo account, so the name of this sheet is actually not accurate, but it is the SAA sheet, as we can see here in the preview. It's labeled as it's a blind cupping with ABC. Those 5 samples are already chosen. I save the session. It allows me to print the labels already in advance for that, to set up the cupping table, but I want to set up the session to be cupped by my team with the help of Cropster Cup on their mobile device. So yeah, I'm going to prepare that session for later. And now, as soon as you open that session, everyone of your team who has access to your cupping account can enter the session on his mobile device. And of course, I opened now Cropster Cup in my browser, but each of your team members or participants in the cupping session would open that session on his own mobile device. So I'm going to enter the session. I see here those blind samples. I can enter my evaluation quite easy. I have a set of descriptors here, right, available in an auto complete form. But I also see that negative descriptors are automatically marked. Everything of that I can adjust in my own lexicon of descriptors, and I can also add general comments to that. So more samples of that 5 samples are on the next page. As soon as I hit submit, I will immediately see a report of those quality results. So I move back into the overview of my sessions and take a look at an already completed webinar session. What I see here is that actually 4 people participated in the evaluation. They evaluated all 5 samples. I get an overview in this report of like the final score, about the descriptors, about further down about the final scores that I can then compare here. I can even break it down and compare evaluators or their spread and deviation to less participants in that case. Yeah, but I see here how the different evaluators scored on the samples. And the more I go down, the more it gets into detail. I can compare the different categories. Again, that is based on the cupping sheet I choose for that session. And also compare descriptors. I see here candy was quite a common descriptor for those roasts. And actually I see here who exactly associated this coffee with candy. And here the categories allow me to sort for acidity, for example, for each of those categories. So now after having a look at the quality report, I might want to trace it back to the roast curves and roast statistics to see what actually influenced here my quality result. So I simply click here to view the 5 and roast compare. And here we are again, back at the roast compare report. Again, I can have a look at every single roast parameter and statistics together with the quality results. So let's take a closer look at that profile. What we see here is that reference that we've chosen previously is displayed here in the profile details. I get quality score of the reference, so that wasn't scored yet. But what I see is down here a quality development of that profile over time. So without any effort, just by logging quality assessments over time, it will create that overview for me. So then I can see how this profile develops. Well, that's how a digital cupping sheet would look like in Cropster Cup on your mobile device. We've now seen it in the browser. Very easy to handle, and each of the participants can enter his results. In the beginning of the webinar, I promised to give an outlook on what we are working on and what is coming next. So our development team is constantly working on the product, on new things, based on the feedback of numerous Cropster users around the world. And we take that feedback very seriously. So we actively involve users into the development and testing of new products. One request we heard quite often is that we should integrate orders into the Cropster Roast platform. So here we go. Order to Roast will extend the production planning functionality so that incoming orders can be aggregated and then translate it into a production schedule. This will also take into account your on-hand, which you see here, so meaning roasted inventory to include it in the production planning. So let's take this Brazil here. 15 kilograms are ordered based on your aggregated orders. You have still 4 kilograms of roasted coffees on hand. So you're going to need to roast 11 kilograms, and that's translated then into your production schedule. We also am working on including web shops, so direct integrations with, for example, Shopify are currently developed and will come with this order to roast feature. Then, very exciting for me to introduce is that we will start a new era in Cropster. So for the first time, we are not only able to read from the machine, but actually control the machine through the Cropster Roasting Intelligence. We started this development with a gas control feature, which you see down in the right corner. So gas control is a first measure, and that slider that you see here is integrated into the roasting intelligence, so allowing you to directly regulate gas before and, of course, during the roast. This feature is currently in beta testing on a limited set of machines, and of course, it is planned to roll that out and extend that to a bigger selection of roast machines. So to wrap that off, how does the setup of Cropster actually look like? At the very center, you see your Caesar account, your Cropster account, with all data and information being stored. And that is only accessible to you, but where and whenever you want. On the right side, you then see Cropster Cup that we've already talked about. That synchronizes all quality assessments from mobile devices of participants with your Cropster account and links that to the actual roasts. On the left, you see the roast machine connected to the client software roasting intelligence, which needs to be downloaded on your computer. The roasting intelligence reads out the information provided by your roast machine and tracks the roast curve. With a lot of machine manufacturers, we have developed direct integrations which allow or which only require an Ethernet or USB cable to directly connect to it. Other connections require the Cropster connector, which you see here in the presentation. And so there are two ways on how to connect to your roast machine, but generally it is possible to connect Cropster to any type of roast machine. So we will help you with that and get you started. Yeah, I would say it's quite easy to get started. As I just said, we're going to help you. We're going to assist you with the installation. And to make it even more easy, we have developed an uploader for roast curves that supports common file formats. So it allows you to switch over from other systems and migrate your roast curves into your new Cropster account. Yeah, I guess I can tell you a lot about Cropster and how you can benefit from it, but actually I think the benefit becomes really obvious once you get your hands on it yourself. You work with the software and with your own data. So I can only invite you to take advantage of our 30-day free trial. As said, we will assist you with the installation. We will train you when getting started. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to go for a free trial or whatever else, just reach out to us in sales@cropster.com. And I want to say thank you for joining this webinar. I hope you had a great experience, you enjoyed it. And yeah, let's look at the questions. I'm looking already to my colleague Andy over here, who collected some questions. Actually, no, he didn't. He already answered all your questions. That's great. I'm going to give you a couple of more minutes and see if some questions will come in. Andy, any new questions? Yep. Aha, yeah. Is Cropster available in my language? So, good question. Actually, I don't know what your language is, but yeah, Cropster is available in multiple languages. We are constantly working on extending the set of languages, but I would say, so I said I don't know what your language is in that case, but Cropster platform and the Cropster roasting intelligence are available in multiple languages. So if you want to know specifically if your language is part of that, just reach out to us. Well, yeah, thank you for joining this webinar.